What do we got?
First one comes to us from Dr. Wolf says, "Hey, Mad and boy. So
Okay.
recently I got into a big argument with some dumb mind goblins my friend has, as he wanted to get into Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. It was on sale on Steam. He picked it up.
Right.
I'm a big fan ever
Yeah.
since I was a kid, so I tried to help him get in. But the problem is that Iceborne comes with quality of life features that kind of ruined my friend's experience getting into the game for the first time. Um, in order to get to the Iceborne content ASAP, DLC has a super OP set of gear that's
Yeah,
available
it
from the
sure
very
does.
start. Helps you beat the base game faster. My friend playing the game for the first time sees it in his box and goes, "Well, it's the best gear by a lot, so I guess I should use it." I tried to warn him
No.
what it was for, and that he was essentially removing the entire hunting crafting loop, which was the big appeal of the game. He gets this, but he says it makes the most sense for him to use the best gear available to him. So, as such, he played for a little while, killed some early monsters really, really easily, got bored, and dropped it before he even reached 2-star hunts. I think if he had played World without the Iceborne to start, he might have gotten into it. So, ever play something where the quality of life actively ruins it for someone you know?
I turn off almost every pre-order weapon I can, and if I can't turn it off, I literally throw most of them away.
Pre-order consumables and things like that. It's something that, like, yeah, there's a couple times where you just, like, I don't even know going in to whatever the thing is, that it's like, oh, that's an extra based on the version of the game you got or whatever. Like, yeah. Um yeah, that's I think, like, that stuff is always going to be there because it's a, it's a pre-order incentive or whatever. It's a business model that has become very common. I think what the games should do is just have a very clear message the first time you unlock all of that shit. Like, I know how for example, in Demon Souls, they're just sitting in your box, but in,
Hmm.
like, Yakuza, you got to go talk to Bob to get them.
Hmm.
you know so you should just have something in place where it's like, the moment you go to get any of that pre-order stuff or whatever it is, you warn the player that, hey, this is meant to catch up experienced players. It's not meant for your first time experience.
Yeah, and that was specifically because Iceborne was a DLC thing. So, like, the intended path was to play Monster Hunter World and then beat Monster Hunter World and then go buy Iceborne,
Now,
right? But,
yeah.
like, if they're both on sale, it's not going to work like that. It was short-sighted. I think the worst one ever, because I played a lot of games that have this problem.
Well, MMOs do
Like,
this all the time, don't they?
no, what are you talking about?
I guess I'm what I'm reminded of is, new MMO thing comes out, and then there's a potion to just zip you up to
Jump?
whatever level.
Yeah, that's World of Warcraft,
Okay, is that the only thing that does that?
pretty much. Like
Destiny didn't have.
buying the deluxe thing. Oh, Destiny does do it as
Destiny
well,
had
yeah.
something like this that you guys were telling me about.
But Destiny does it for one character, and crazy people always have three characters anyway. So,
Okay, well, I'm just going off of what I've heard over the years about, like, catching back up to the new content.
people are mentioning FF14. FF14 does not give you a job boost potion when you buy the goddamn expansion. Like, it's an optional thing. Like, we're talking about something that came with the game. Like, the defender armor in Monster Hunter Iceborne literally sits in your inventory when you start the game if you own Iceborne.
Hmm.
Um, the worst one that I can think of ever is Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2, when it got ported to PC, they had all this DLC shit that you could buy, all this, like, cheat DLC items on the console. And when they ported it to PC, they didn't want to do that. So what they did was they just dumped every single one into the store. And I think most of them are free. So you start the game and you go to the shop for the very first like time to upgrade your gun, and, like, all this cheat armor is in there, and, like, all the best
Mm.
weapons in the game are in there. And
Oh
it's
man.
the problem isn't even that it's like massive cheat shit. The problem is that it makes it difficult to find what the real weapons are.
Yeah, and like it also would just feel bad. It also just feels bad if like there's a variety of like not just the strongest armor, but like a variety of strong, cool armors and things where you're like, I guess I'll just have to not want to come back to this one and use it at some point. You know, if you're particularly attached to it or whatever the case is, if the game is not explicitly warning you about it, you know. Like, for example, let me phrase that a different way. You get armor and shit like that that's like, hey, don't wear this, you know, it's meant for speeding through the game. But if you get like 100 consumables, it's like, so should I just not use these because I'm going to be using consumables? So
yeah, Monster Hunter.
What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Hey,
Like,
here's some free potions or whatever. Because the game sold X amount of copies.
you can't not. You're gonna use those normally, so you might as well just use them.
Might as well. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you know. So, yeah. That's
Apparently
a
that
pretty shitty
Defender set was added to Monster Hunter World before Iceborne to get people up to date on Iceborne if they were excited about Iceborne. So if you play Monster Hunter World right now, brand new fucking file. There's fucking cheat armor just sitting in it. Wow, that is stupid as
That's ruinous.
fuck.
That's ruinous.
That is.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Is there-
the games that do that is infuriating. The worst for me is when it's like, I'll pre-order it because it comes with like a soundtrack or some other, you know, or like a different skin for something. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll pre-order it, but then it also comes with like free level up points for the early game that you can't not use.
Okay, how exactly? Because now my compliance brain is thinking a little bit. How exactly is Iceborne implemented into gameplay? Is it literally a new menu that you select and then go into a new like map and world?
Once you install Iceborne, a guy gets an exclamation point above his head and goes, "Hey man, shit's going crazy in the ice place. Do you want to go to the ice place?"
Okay. Because you could do that the way some other games do by like literally like gating it off in a way where it's like load your file up. Do you want to set it to Iceborne? Okay, well then come on over.
That doesn't make sense for Monster Hunter because like it's literally just like the next step in the major story quest.
And it's all together.
And once Iceborne's integrated, it's just like, this is the first half of the game, this is the second half of the game.
Well, there's got to be a better way than fucking that, though.
Yeah,
like,
don't put those items in the game at all. That's the better way.
So just too bad. Well, it is an expansion,
I think
to the game. It's not its own thing.
No, but like I said before, the items were added to World, not Iceborne.
Right.
So if you're playing just World and don't want to go to Iceborne, that shit is still in there.
No, but I guess what I'm saying is because like I wasn't sure, but you're explaining that it's like, yeah, Iceborne is it's expanded world content.
Yeah,
then it's fair
the
to basically tell people, no, you have to earn this. You have to get here. That's
absolutely.
Like that's totally fair to do.
I think the Demon Souls remake did it decently, where the new DLC weapons that you get as the pre-order, I forget what it was, but they're decent. Some of them are good, but you can't upgrade them.
Oh. Ah, okay.
So they're like decent for like an hour.
But balance-wise, you can't rely on this in the long run.
Yeah, you will absolutely need to trade them out for something.
That's pretty good. That's a decent compromise.
By the time you get to like 2-1 or 2-2 or something like that.
Okay. But I mean, at that point, is that really solving the intended goal of fast-forwarding the entire game?
Well, that's not the intended goal. The intended goal was, for Demon Souls, probably to smooth over that game's notoriously vicious first hour with a pre-order bonus to, hey,
Yeah.
you want to pre-order?
What Capcom wants is for you to fast forward world.
Yeah, so that you
Yeah.
have a reason to buy Iceborne. Do you want to buy Iceborne? Let's buy Iceborne. Yo, Iceborne's coming. You should buy Iceborne. Oh, but I'm not up there. I didn't get that far. Don't worry. You'll get that far real fast.
All right. Got one coming in. Hello. Yeah, coming in from Flashy Amoeba, High Fighting Game Cop Woolie, and Secretary of Absolute Dog Pat. A while ago, I was watching a friend play Bethesda's 2017 Prey. How apropos.
That is extraordinarily apropos.
In one of the starting areas, after taking damage from the mimic enemies, she ran over to one of the water fountains and activated the fountain, restoring 1 HP. She then began alternating between water fountains to restore HP bit by bit. The water fountains could only be activated about once every 10 to 15 seconds, presumably to stop this kind of exploit. I thought it was a little tedious, but accepted that my friend's OCD wanted to take the slow but unlimited method of restoring HP rather than using consumable items they had. She commented this was an example of bad design because it was not fun for her, and I was taken aback seeing as this is a more personal influenced issue than bad design, as it was clearly not the intended method by the devs. She countered that the human brain would prioritize efficiency over fun, and the developers should have foreseen this and not had the water fountains restore any health. The conversation more or less ended there, but what's your opinion? Is it the responsibility of the devs or not?
I think what's really interesting about this is I've been complaining about Dishonored for like 5 days. Because I'm playing Prey, and Prey does not tell me that I'm playing the game wrong. It's something that I very much can't stand about the Dishonored series, and I've been talking about it all week, about how basically my issue with Dishonored is that they give you 10 out of like 13 of your buttons kill people, and every time you kill somebody, the game goes, no, bad, don't bad killing, bad do, wrong, right? And I've been talking about that a lot. But the core of it is that player psychology is more complex than just, people do whatever. It's like if you tell people things work a certain way, they'll tend towards a certain way. And I believe it's a quote from Sid Meier, I want to say, that players will optimize all the fun out of a game if you let them. And it's a danger whenever you make an effect in a game that, well, what happens if people take this to its quote-unquote logical conclusion? So I'm pretty sure if you go back to a 2017 stream, you can find footage of me ping-ponging between 2 water fountains because I only had 6 health down from 100, and instead of eating a banana, which would have healed that in 1 second, I could have kept the banana and then ping-pong between these 2 water fountains for a minute and a half.
Now, completely divorced from whether or not you would perform this action in a circumstance when you needed it, are you pro or anti-goblins in this scenario?
I think that having a water fountain lock itself down for it's like 15 seconds to give you a single health point, the only outcome of that is you going either, I'm not going to use that sucks, right? It only gives 1 health and I'm not going to waste my time, or people wasting their time on
Exactly.
And both of those suck ass.
Exactly.
Both of those are worse than having it do nothing.
So this is where you have to look at things and go, yes, the average person will look at this and they will look at the tediousness of it and they will accept the trivial reward and move on.
And then never do it again.
But you cannot assume this will be the universal experience, nor should you. You must assume that the little trivial thing that you're rewarding them with will be maximized and min-maxed and exploited to the point of compromising fun, and you have to stop the player from allowing themselves to do that. In Returnal, you can go back to your ship and sleep to get a little heal.
Yeah, that was like people figured that out, and it became like hyper optimal to do that. And it's the shittiest way to play the game ever.
After clearing the map multiple layers in and scraping it of all heals, I realized, oh shit, this run is in danger. The only thing I can do right now is go back to the fucking ship and sleep. And if you have enough clearance on the Area 1, Area 2, Area 3, and you go far enough, you can actually backtrack for like the 10 minutes or whatever it takes you to get back to your ship and go take a nap. You can then fuck up and then have to do it more than once. And it turns the game into a really annoying thing where you could keep this run going if you fucked up. Yeah. But how annoyed are you? And your annoyance should not be the determining factor. So they patched it.
It's extra bad because runs are so long
yeah.
that like you're 90 minutes, 100 minutes in, and you're like, I could maybe do it if I got a full heal.
I can save this whole run if I just run back. So they patched it, and now it only works once. And that's the answer. Because leaving it up to, this is optimal, but it's just annoying to be optimal, is absolutely a mistake and a bad thing to do when you're designing a game. Make it so that you take the choice away, so that the person doesn't have to choose between like the frustrating path.
Yeah, and so like with many games, this wouldn't be an option. If you were playing Assassin's Creed, or if you were playing a first-person shooter that's like Doom or whatever, this would be trivial. You look at it, you click on it, aha, 1 health, haha, and you go on your merry way. Prey, specifically as an immersive sim, you have a fucking inventory with a grid filled to bits with health items and armor pickups and rare ammunition and stuff like that. The game's design is explicitly scroungy. There's even a function in the game where you can throw recycling charges at the environment, and it will turn all of the physics items into materials that you can bring to a crafting station. Right? Like, it wants you to pick shit up. It wants you to optimize your use of materials. So in that context, giving somebody a completely free, terrible heal lets them take their healing items and turn those into crafting materials.
So there's an absolute benefit.
Yeah, there's no downside other than the fact that it sucks ass.
How is the healing in general, and how is the checkpointing in terms of like?
Checkpointing's good. The checkpointing's good, and healing in the game is if you eat like a banana or like a ramen soup or some little piece of shit health item that you find, it'll heal you 5 immediately, and then it'll heal you like another 5 over like 15 seconds.
Okay.
And health kits like heal you like 30 or 40 points like a snap of the finger instantaneously. And it's just like, there's no benefit to anything by having this heal you at all. Like, the best case scenario is somebody goes, I'm not going to waste my time with that, and never does it again. At which point, why would you? What is the point of that?
Yeah. No, it's just like, if your whole point is this thing is a refreshing, small, trivial heal, but you know, it'll, if you come across it and you get lucky, then you'll be happy you're there. Then have it do it once. You know, that's, you have to limit that kind of thing. You have to absolutely account for the goblins. You have to build around goblins and make it so that goblins are not the best way to go about this. And goblins will find a way to exist anyway. They'll exist in other things, but the min-maxing process, if you can take the frustrating route out of people's hands, so they don't even have to go down this road of like hating the fact that they're doing it because this is the way that makes the most sense. Because that just comes down to like, how much do you care? And people care about you know, that type of thing more than others. Min will spend weeks to months doing the same thing over and over again to optimize in order to make sure that he plays as smoothly as possible. He doesn't give a fuck. He has infinite patience for that. He kind of likes it. That's
So
not everybody.
I'm actually diving into this. This is a deeper problem than I originally anticipated, that I did not understand because I'm not that far into Prey. And on a whim, I just typed in the phrase water Prey into the game to discover that water fountains in that game have a secondary function. There is a side quest you can complete that has the water regenerate your MP. So the water fountains are supposed to be initially useless, but usable, and then later they will regen your psychic energy at a significant rate, which turns them from a useless function into an overpowered function.
So then you are absolutely incentivized strongly to do this dumb shit.
So the intended design must be: you see a water fountain, go over to it, realizes it heals you 1, oh, that's not worth it, but you know that you can use water sources as an item or a benefit. Then later you unlock the psi regeneration and you get told to go use it, and it regens your psi bar, and you go, oh cool, now all those water fountains that I've been seeing and knew were there because I used them to heal myself 1 HP when I passed by them. And it's like,
yeah. Game design is really interesting, man. It really
apparently
is.
that upgrade is like insanely broken.
Mm.
Like, apparently it regenerates the shit like super hard and makes your psi powers like infinite.
Yeah, as a whole, the balance of incentive is a fucking complex thing. And like there's a fulcrum point that you have to balance it on, that you have to approach, where it's like, you know, the player's willingness to struggle, and the average level of like, fuck it, I'll just keep beating my head against this until I get good enough to get past whatever's in my way. Or you describing the inability to play certain genres where, like, if your decisions are suboptimal, you turn into a fucking goop pile and
So
melt
I've
off the chair.
discovered that out of a bar of 100 default, drinking water in Prey will give you 50 points of psi energy. So 2 of those sips will put you to full, and those sources are everywhere.
So you need them, yeah.
But it's like, I don't see why you needed to give it a health point. People know what a water faucet looks like. Like, people.
Mm-hmm. Now this kind of thing, I always find really interesting when people get creative with their solutions, because it shows that you're thinking about all these aspects of the game. If a game decides to put limited enemies in an RPG, it means that it doesn't want you to overlevel. It means that it wants you to be stuck at a certain place by the time you get to whatever boss, because you are literally unable to go find more experience anywhere in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that some people like that, and knowing that some people would want to level up or do whatever in a game like The Last Story, you have the literal enemy boss fountain room that spits out grunts to fight before you go into a boss fight, just for that purpose.
It's funny because there's the 2 extremes of this, and I think Prey is probably on one extreme, because I described earlier I went off the beaten path and found a plan that lets you make level ups. Like, just straight up make level ups. And the immersive sim genre is always about, like, breaking that shit. Like, oh, I stealthed in the back in the Deus Ex and killed that lady with the hanging potted plant and never had to do the Chinatown level. You know, shit like that. And the opposite, the game that goes the hardest in terms of no, you're gonna fucking level up when I tell you, is Lost Odyssey, where the XP thresholds for level ups are at extremes. So like every level up to level 10 is like 100 XP, but the trip from level 10 to 11 is like 20,000. And then in the next area, after you beat the boss, all the enemies start giving you 5,000 XP. So you immediately hit the new level cap. And then the next jump is 100,000. I tried to grind in Lost Odyssey and discovered that
you
it
get
does
punished.
not want you to.
You get punished,
goes,
yeah.
This is the level you're gonna fucking be when you fight the boss.
One door later, they're gonna give you in more than enough, and you'll be happy with it. But stop, and fucking and move forward. I that version of like just accounting for grinding with the last story boss fountain thing is like, I bring that up because it's just like it's inelegant, but it basically addresses people who are like, I know you want to run back through the area, you don't have to, it's not a pretty solution, but it solves that problem and goes, here, don't make the game less fun for you, stand outside this room, fight these grunts until you're done, and then walk inside. Anyway, yeah, that's a really interesting question, and there is the definitive answer, at least looking here, between someone who even like, I don't have the fucking compulsion that you do with these things, but even you having that compulsion can see that it would be better if you were handcuffed from having to do it.
Oh yeah. Well, for me, the where it breaks, it's like I'm willing to admit when my own compulsion is what's causing me to do something in a more hyper efficient way. But the breaking point for me is that when I look at the fantasy scenario in which that compulsion didn't exist, and does the situation still kind of suck or be pointless, then what the fuck is the point of it being there at all?
Right.